Well, thank you everybody for coming out on a beautiful rainy Saturday morning to learn about Minecraft of all things. And we're going to talk about today Minecraft projects that you can use in your classroom. And it doesn't matter what grade level you are or what content area you're in. I have some projects to share that I think apply to everybody. My name is John Miller, and the resources for today are on my website, minecraft.edtechworks.com. This presentation is there, links to all the people I'm going to be talking to and about. In fact, a couple of the worlds I'm going to share are available online too from my website. And feel free to follow me on Twitter or tweet about this. On the next slide will show you that. But I love sharing all the stuff that I do in Minecraft, but I also really like sharing things that my friends, my colleagues around the world are doing too. And so we're going to dive in deep here today and look at what really is a Minecraft lesson. How do you set something up around a game like Minecraft? This is Connected Educator Month, so this is a perfect presentation for this because it's all about connecting. I really think that all of us will be much better teachers, and especially if we're going to use Minecraft, if we do connect with each other, because I can't do it all, and you can't do it all. And Minecraft is a perfect tool to let us connect with each other. We can play together in world. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet. We can join in a Minecraft world and design and collaborate worlds for our students. There's the hashtag, of course, for FallQ. I'm a board member of San Luis Obispo, SlowQ, down in San Luis Obispo County. And I'm mostly going to be talking about a version of Minecraft made for schools called Minecraft EDU. Many of the project's ideas that I'm going to show you today can be done with regular Minecraft, but Minecraft EDU has a big advantage. It has teacher tools that are focused primarily for us and lets us control as much of the game, design as much of the game as we want, or as little of the game as we want. And it's a really powerful learning tool. So if you want to learn more about that, it's minecraftedu.com, or see me after, and I'd be glad to talk to you more about that. There we go. So we're looking at, I'm going to share at least 3, and I have a bonus little project to show with you. And it's kind of a model. The idea is I'll show you what one teacher has done with this, and then how you can apply that to whatever grade you teach or whatever content area you teach, because I believe all these can be fit into any of those forms. I don't want you to leave here like that teacher thinking, I can't do this, I'm not a gamer, I don't know the first thing about Minecraft, I've just barely played, I can't build anything. You really don't have to. It's not about you, it's about the kids. And you have at least 30 experts probably in your classroom that will show you all you need to know about it if you let them. And that's a big switch from what used to be the way I taught, which was I thought, I have to know everything. I can't dare step out in the classroom in front of those kids if I don't know everything about that subject area. And Minecraft lets me take a sigh and join in. How many times have you been able to play and learn in the classroom with your kids at the same time? It's an extraordinary tool, and that's one of the things I really want to show you. And please don't leave here thinking that you can't do this. It's structuring a lesson just like we're all really good at, and let Minecraft and the enthusiasm of your students take over. Okay, first we're going to do the 3 different types, and the first one is kind of that teacher who's going to take the lead as designer and builder. So the teacher's coming up with the lesson idea, and the teacher's got more than a basic familiarity with Minecraft. They're going to build the world, the structures that the kids are going to be in. They're going to map out the entire lesson from the initial getting background information all the way to the final outcome. So the teacher's taking charge of this, and the kids then walk into a world that they've never seen before, and off they go, either independently or in groups. The second model I'm going to show you is one where the student is more of the architect, and I say contractor instead of builder, because there's so much to building in Minecraft. You've got to know more than just be able to place blocks. So this one is an example of where students walk into a world that a teacher has already scaffolded. Maybe there's a template, there's some building areas, but it's mostly blank, and the kids are expected to develop the world from there. The third model is where teachers and students are collaborating with other teachers and students around the world, or in another classroom down the hall, or throughout your school district. It's taken that big step and getting out of just my class and just my students. What if we ventured out and tried to connect with other kids someplace else and have them join us on a project? So those are the three designs, model designs I'm going to present here today. First one is the map. The Minecraft map is called the graphing zone, and this is the example of the teacher with a solid foundation in Minecraft, being able to design a world and share a world. This is shared on my website where the resources are. And then working, the kids, the idea is the kids that are going to work first individually, then they're going to team up, they're going to partner up, and they're going to collect data. But instead of collecting data in some boring way, they're in Minecraft. So let's let them join in and collect data in Minecraft. So they go through a fishing derby. They collect fish. Then they go through a archery tournament for target shooting in Minecraft. And finally, there's a wood chopping event that they have to go through, the whole time collecting data and then graphing it in Minecraft, too. The idea is that the students are going to progress. They're going to move from one zone to the next zone, learning zone, or in this case, a graphing zone. Each zone, the expectations become a little higher, the complexity becomes a little deeper. And this type of a lesson or a model really lends itself well to the kind of a quest-based learning, where you could send your kids off start with a very simple task, they get rewarded with something, and they move on to another zone. Whether it's in another building, they're following a pathway or whatever, they're off and the next challenge. And the next challenge increases in complexity. They finish that one and off to someplace else, and that increases with complexity. So some screenshots here. This is where you first spawn, and in Minecraft, if you're not familiar with Minecraft, that checkerboard pattern up there, that's the spawn point. So the kids spawn there, and you see it all bricked around so they can't get out. And once they're in there, they go and get a journal or a book. Minecraft has the ability for you to have give books to kids and pens. They can write inside of a book or a journal. And when they're done with it, they can turn it into you, and then that's what you grade. You could also do it on the outside and do like a Google form or something as well, but the kids are really used to journals and opening them up, and there's enchanted books and all kinds of really fun stuff. So you click that button right there in the center, and out pops a journal for you. You then take the journal and you complete your tasks. There's the first one, the fishing derby. So can you imagine 30 kids, all with fishing poles? That's me in there, right on my screenshot. All with fishing poles, all trying to find the best fishing spot. And throwing a line in and reeling them in. You've got a time limit. And then they come back and they go back out here, and they're going to go into the graphing area where they gather all their fish and their data. This is an information block. So the kids are learning all the way throughout the process of what it is they're supposed to do. As it says, you can first total up your fish, total up the fish of everybody else caught, find the number, the least, and the range, and now they're going to plot it here, and there's a graph for you. I love this concept because there's another example of an information block with text on it, the big I. So when you click on that, it reminds the students what they're supposed to do, so they're not constantly, I don't get it. Just read the information block. And the idea is here that you post, these are frames, so you can actually put things in them. You can put fish in them. So they put their fish in as like a picture graph along the top, and then they can compare each other. Then the author of this activity also has, I don't know if he calls it this, but I do. I call it kind of a protein graph. The kids take a survey. What did you eat last night? How many of you had fish last night? How many of you had beef last night? How many of you had pork? How many of you had chicken? And in Minecraft, there's fish, there's a steak, there's a pork chop, and there's a chicken. And so you graph the results in using the same format here on the graphing zone. Then you move off to the archery range. That's the next level of complexity. And you get target shooting, you and a partner. You get arrows, you get a bow, and you head off to the range. And in the range, it's some really cool stuff because these light up. If you hit those buttons right there, it lights up. So you count how many targets you hit out of the 12, and then you're going to graph that. So now we're looking at fractions too, and there's the graphing location for that. The kids have to climb the stairs here to place the blocks, so to where they go. So it's a vertical graph and a horizontal one at the same time. And for fractions too. Okay, next is the third zone, and in this third zone, I love how this is set up. It says, I've heard that there are some scientists in the forest ahead. They are working on some sort of top secret project and are looking for some volunteers. If you're up for it, head to the east and see what you can find. So what kid wouldn't want to just run right past that and head off to the east and see what they can find? Well, when they do head off to the east, and this will be the third zone, they come across that. And that's quite a complex looking setup. The blocks that have, if you're unfamiliar with Minecraft EDU, the blocks that have the green circles on them, those are called build allow blocks. That means students can build on top of those. They can't build anywhere else. So right away, the kids know they get to build something, and they know where they're going to build it. Now, the author of this here we go, next one, is a friend of mine, Shane Hasselstein, and he is in Oahu, and I have him on some of you saw before, I have him on a Google Hangout, so I thought I'd bring him up and have him tell you about the Zone 3. And if you're on Twitter, you definitely want to follow Shane, because he's a genius when it comes to Minecraft. Okay. Yeah, he's still there. And we can hear you. All right, perfect. Okay, so Shane, as you heard, I just told everybody about Zone 1 and Zone 2. So now we're on to Zone 3. And can you provide us with some details about what the students are going to do in Zone 3?
Definitely. Zone 3 came about, actually, it was the very first, even though it's the third zone, it was actually the first part of this map that I built. The initial pad you're seeing here, of course, is was an adaptation of somebody else's ideas that they had. What I've added to it is a level of complexity. And the great thing about this part was that it was a collaborative effort between me. Edu Elfie came in and gave me some ideas that he might think might work in here. So I don't know if you can see that small picture kind of right over here. There you go. Yeah, right there. The slide of the actual graphing zone. It's what the kids do is that they're going to come over here and they're going to test the efficiency of different types of axes in the game. So the game you can break wood with your bare hands. You can break it with a wooden axe, a stone axe, an iron axe, gold axe, and a diamond axe. Now, by doing that, the kids are collecting data. They're going to graph their data, and what this turns out to be is this enormous multi-bar graph. It's not even a double bar graph. It's 35 deep because I have up to 35 kids in my class. And it's tangible, it's real. As John mentioned earlier, by having the kids collect the data, and we've talked about this before, they're more attached to those numbers as opposed to me just giving them, here's a table, graph this. So, they're competing with each other in a friendly way. They're not like, stealing each other's wood and stuff like that, but they just want to see if they can get as much wood as they can in the 90 seconds that each kid was given to collect wood. There's an interesting twist in this, a couple of them actually. So I've increased the complexity of this map by, if you can kind of see that fence halfway through the graphing area, the kids on the far end are actually graphing, they're collecting their wood from a predetermined spot. In which case, It's basically what we call the wood cabin or the wood barn. It's just a huge section of wood, and they can just keep going as much as they can. The other kids on this half are actually having to go into the forest and collect wood that way. So we've added that variable in there to see how the graph would change from the left side to the right side. Um, so what we come up with is some amazing data, visual data, and experiences that the kids can then, we can have full-on discussions. So as John's a little bit, he gives me a lot of compliments that maybe I don't necessarily deserve all the time, but some of these ideas just happen. I can't even say that I know why they happen, but they do. And the maps themselves are a great learning tool. They're an awesome learning tool. But it's the discussions and the reflections that the kids are having throughout the lesson, or even at the end, that really make the lessons come together. So by them collecting their own data, graphing their own data, using manipulatives, I know it's not manipulatives in the traditional way that we would like pull out blocks on the desk and build that way, or even just drawing it, but it's just as authentic to the kids when they get to build their own graph. And then they can discover things like, for instance, later on when you get to the gold axe, I'll share a quick little story if I can, John.
Sure.
The kids were graphing this. My kids were going ahead graphing. They got to the gold axe and they noticed that everybody's data was exactly flat. They had just the exact amount of wood all the way across, and it was far less than the previous tool. Well, it turns out that the properties of the tools matter, and gold is the most terrible material to build tools out of because it breaks fast. So they were actually breaking their axes before the 90 seconds was up. But the discussion that happened from that was awesome, because I had one student tell me, it breaks faster, Mr. Asselstein, but it also chops wood faster. So that led to a discussion of, okay, well, how can we test that in another experiment? And he was explaining to me, well, what if we just put 10 blocks and you had a timer set up, and when you said go, we chopped with different axes and seen how fast we can get down to the bottom. So here I have kids who are coming up with their own experiments now based off of something that I've done, and I may now improve this map and add that section into it as another way of testing the efficiency of axes, because efficiency doesn't always necessarily mean the most. So the fact that those kids were grasping that concept was just amazing, so to me.
Fabulous. Can you tell us a little bit about the process you go through when you design
Definitely.
your map? Shane has dozens of maps that he's put together, and most of them are available for download for free, including the graphing zone. And he's going to be sharing all of them, and the resources I'll show you on the website where you can download his maps. But yeah, please, the design process.
For sure. I will say that I'm one of those people that I walk around. I didn't initially cling on to Minecraft right away. My kids mentioned they wanted to use it. I was like, okay, but then when my aunt asked me to use it, she's like, you should use this because I think it's right down your alley. Now I've noticed, now that I play it, I'll walk down the street and see, oh, I could get a lesson out of that in Minecraft. Or I'll look at standards, because of course we're all tied to our standards at some point. I'll read a standard or a word problem from a standard, and an entire map will pop into my head. So, those are just, you can get inspiration for a map from anywhere. Of course, then I have to build in the standards, and one of the key things for my map is creating that immersion into the environment. So as you've seen through my storytelling, which isn't so great, but my storytelling and my leading info blocks to the kids, I actually want to bring the kids into this map and have as little to explain to them as possible, because I feel like then they feel like they have their own autonomy of, they can just go wherever they want and do whatever they want, as long as they're getting the activities completed. I love using the game mechanics. So for instance, chopping wood, it's having the kids experience different tools, and seeing how in Minecraft those tools matter, or the materials matter. A lot of the kids I found when we did the archery range had never actually done something like that in Minecraft. So I'm also teaching them not just about the standards, but about the game itself. Then one of the big things I usually struggle with is figuring out a setting. You know, do I use a biome, a jungle biome? Do I use a desert? Do I use the snow biomes? With the new versions of Minecraft that came out, a new version, I guess, there are so many biomes now that I got way more ideas for maps, things like that. Uh, within the, I've kind of combined the way I used to teach my math constructive response classes to this now. So I still am using word-based problems. My kids, you couldn't see it at the very beginning, and I think John, you showed a picture of the kids getting a journal or getting a journal or the journal box. I'm not
Yes.
sure. Anyway, so those journals are actually called a book and quill in the game, but what they are is just a blank journal. My kids will actually go through all these activities and document their calculations, their open-ended responses, and things like that. So now we have actual evidence of the learning the kids are doing as well. And that's something that's integrated into all of my maps because um, after they've done the learning, I want to be able to go back and read it, and I can export those to a Word file, and then I can read them at my, without being in the map. So yeah, the map making process for me is super exciting, and I get a lot of questions of how long it takes you, and I usually just tell people it doesn't take me any longer than it would to design a good unit on paper. So
Great. Thank you. I have to want to add to that about the creativity. We've had, our creativity as teachers have been just restricted so much that I think when Minecraft came out and I first started playing and looking at how to use it in school, it, it unlocked a part of the brain that had been, I think, shut down for a while as a teacher. And I have that same sense that Shane has is I see Minecraft and lesson ideas everywhere you go because it's such a creative process. And I know that's why our kids love it too. Anybody have maybe one question? If anybody has a question they'd like to ask, yeah.
Find that it helps with the
Right.
reality, and now they're taking on a leading role.
Bingo. Yeah, the question, Shane, was for self-esteem. Do you see this as a boost for kids that, I think I know the answer, I know I would answer, a boost for the kids that in the class might have a lower self-esteem for one reason or another? Is Minecraft an equalizer in a way?
definitely. There are, we talk a lot about the academics, the standards, and things, that proving or evidence of the learning and such. What I cannot provide evidence of as far as written down in a book, to some extent, is exactly what you're talking about. The fact that I have my kids, for instance, help me set up the clients on the computers. And I picked specific kids for this because I know these are not the kids that always get to be top in student council, or they get to be, the best athlete, or they're top in academics, or they're, the lead in the play and things like that. But I do know that these are the kids who come to me wanting to dedicate it at 7 a.m. every morning to 7:45 in my morning group, willing to build an entire city for me so that we can use it in a lesson. And those kids, they now have this sense of value as far as, games have traditionally in the past been looked at as, oh my gosh, you're a gamer, as a negative thing. But now these kids all of a sudden have value to the knowledge that they have, and they're the ones in the class who are getting asked, oh, can you help me with this? Can you tell me how I build this? Can you show me how to do this? It's that sense of puffing out the chest once they realize they've got something of worth, and yes, I definitely see that. I see leaders pop up that I would not have expected throughout the year. In my traditional math class, I would never have seen these kids pop up. But here we are, we're still doing math, we're still doing science, we're still doing all this other stuff. But because it's within Minecraft or in their type of world, they're now becoming leaders in my class, getting up without me asking, getting up and going over to someone and say, oh, this is how you do it, and helping, whereas before they would just sit in the back of the classroom and just kind of hope that I didn't call on them. Definitely we see that kind of stuff. I see it in their blog posts. So we do a lot of blog posts after learning, and you see the excitement and the engagement when the kids are writing. A student who normally wouldn't write, and I know John has seen this too in his lessons, students that typically are reluctant to write will write me 2, 3, 4 pages in that learning journal because 1, it's virtual, 2, it's about a topic they're super interested in, and 3, they just went through an experience that their whole class went through, but they may have seen it from a different angle.
Beautiful, yeah, and it's remarkable because I experience those same things with students who normally wouldn't dare go up to the teacher to talk about anything, but we have something in common. We have Minecraft in common. And they come up and they want to talk about it at any time, and I find myself having a really deep creative discussion with an 11-year-old. And how many times does that get to happen in your life? You know, it's a great feeling. So, well, we got to let you get going there, Shane, for breakfast, because it's pretty early there. But thank you so much, and I'm going to tell everybody they've got to follow you.
No problem.
And hopefully we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, take care, John.
Thanks. Great, thank you. Yeah, Shane's being very modest. He picked up Minecraft in just a matter of, well, I think weeks or months, and now he has mastered it. He's the kind of one of our go-to people in the teaching community. Okay, off to that one. And yeah, there his Twitter, so I encourage you to grab that. It's also on the website. You can just click the link on my website and follow him. Okay, so just kind of a review of the process and why I wanted to highlight this kind of a zone model for learning. We're in my district, we're moving back kind of towards this depth of knowledge and trying to get our kids to get down to that extended thinking level where we've been, you know, down here preparing our students for tests and things. And it's a heck of a challenge to get them down to those level 4 projects. And I see Minecraft as the perfect tool to get us from those early levels of just recall and reproducing things to some really deep critical thinking and analysis from students. And some examples of that would be, here's something for social studies. We saw a good one for math. But as a social studies teacher, at that level 1, I would design a home. I'd put a family in there, a Viking family, and I'd have my kids visit that. There's a mod for Minecraft called Custom NPC, so you can put characters in there for your students to interact with. And my students would interact with the family and learn about Viking life by visiting the Longhouse in Viking. And then I'd want them to tell me what's impressed you most about visiting this family. Then they could move on to the next zone. And the next zone I would design as a shipyard, a Viking shipyard. I'm excited just thinking about it. I want to make a Viking shipyard. And their task then would be to construct, using the tools only available to Vikings, and the wood, and do the research and create a Viking longboat there. Then they would move on to another zone after that, where I want them to tell the story. I want them to do some research on the Norse gods, and I'd like them to tell the story in video form of 2 contrasting Norse gods and film it. And I'll show you how to film it in a moment. That's my next model. And then finally, at the 4th stage, or the 4th zone, I wouldn't have anything there. And I would say, your task is, your Viking crew has landed in a new settlement area, and it's your job is to set up that settlement and build it. And then tell us about who lives there, and what are their dreams, their hopes, where did they come from. Give me some biographies about the people that lived there. So to see if they could put together an authentic Viking village based on their research. And so I get to do less and less of the build, but I do have to provide certainly that scaffolding for them to move through. An example from science would be, in a broad sense, because it covers such a large area from 2nd to 12th grade, but in the first step, just to define a problem in first zone. The second zone, the kids are together and they're trying to brainstorm some solutions to that problem. In the third zone, they're going off and going to build a physical model of what their either experiment is or what their solution may be, or they go on and then test it after that and then retest if necessary. So I think this model really lends itself well to that a quest. You know, we are a quest for learning, but the kids think they're solving a problem for a scientist, or they're just they're just learning about Vikings all the way through, and they don't realize how deep they're going with their understanding. Okay, the second one now is, the model is of a student as really that architect and designer, and a contractor. And me as a student, as a teacher rather, I would step back And I'm going to provide them with a template world that's not really built out at all, but I am going to have, of course, the lesson scaffolded. And I have my outcomes that I think I want my kids to reach. But as Shane mentioned, you never know in Minecraft, because kids will surprise you, and they'll blow your minds with what connections they make that we can't anticipate. So it's a collaborative build. And this idea is storytelling, telling a story with the use of video, creating a narrative, or it could be an informational one if you wanted to do a nonfiction story. And this is by another person who you absolutely have to follow here. His name's Adam Clark, and he's not a teacher, but he's an artist. And he's one of the most creative people on the internet that I've seen. And one of his big passions is Minecraft and how to use Minecraft for learning, but how to use Minecraft as a creative tool as well. So he has lots of videos. He has several series. And as most Minecraft presenters and as Minecraft stars on YouTube, they put out a video a day. And it's prodigious. He's really quick at putting out videos of just playing Minecraft, but also great things you could do with Minecraft. And many of them incorporate his young son. And so his Twitter handle is The Common People. For October, he's changed it to The Uncommon Zombie. But you just follow The Common People, and you'll see. His videos on YouTube, his YouTube channel is extraordinary. It's rich in detail, and he has a whole series that's targeted as for teachers and learners, people that want to learn with Minecraft. So a little backstory about what you're about to see here. You're going to see one of his videos that he created. He loves this idea of taking literature, and in this case, the children's story, and turning it into a Minecraft, a mashup in Minecraft. Minecraft is all over YouTube. Everybody loves making YouTube videos that involve Minecraft. So he got the story of The Tiger Who Came to Tea by Judith Kerr. And if you're not familiar with the story, it's the story of the big tiger who shows up for tea one day, and he's a big tiger, and he eats everything, right? And he literally, it's all gone, not the people, but he eats them out of house and home practically, and then he leaves for tea. Delightful little story. Well, this is Adam, and he thought, well, let's take this story and adapt it in Minecraft. So instead of a tiger, we got to come up with a character that's a cat of some type. We've got to have the settings in Minecraft, so we've got to work with the limits of Minecraft, but we can also add things that are really cool that you can do in Minecraft that you can't do anywhere else. And there's another major YouTube star right here. That's Joseph Garrett there. Anybody know him? Raise your hand if you know of him. If you have yeah. His nickname or his YouTube name is Stampy, or Stampy Longnose. So if you go back to your classrooms, if you teach 7 to 12-year-olds and just mention you saw a Stampy video Saturday, your kids will worship you. They'll be so impressed. Stampy, yeah, that's Stampy, and that's his Minecraft character, Stampy Longnose, or Stampy the cat. He makes one video a day, or he posts a video a day. He's 23, 24, something like that. He has 3 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. And all he does is play Minecraft every day. There's a new video of Minecraft, and 3 million subscribers, and most of them are kids. And they're fabulous videos if you can handle him, because his antics. Yet, it's super popular. So Adam asks Stampy if, gosh, would you be interested in joining me in an adaptation of The Tiger Who Came to Tea? And Stampy said, sure, that's great. Stampy does a lot of things for young kids now, and it's really recommended. So they produced this video, they worked the video and made it together when Stampy came to tea. And so that's what I'd like to show you now.
Once, there was a little boy called Django, and he was having tea with his mummy in the kitchen. Suddenly, there was a ring at the door. Django's mummy said, "I wonder who that could be. It can't be the milkman, because he came this morning. And it can't be the butcher, because this isn't the day that he comes. And it can't be Grandfather Squiddy, because he's got his key. We'd better open the door and see." Django opened the door, and there was a big, furry, stripy cat. The cat said,
"Excuse me, but I'm very hungry. Do you think that I could have tea with you?"
Django's mummy said, "Of course, come in." So Stampy came into the kitchen and sat down at the table. Django's mummy said, "Would you like a piece of pumpkin pie?" But Stampy didn't take just one slice of pie. He took the whole pile on the plate and swallowed it in one big mouthful. And he still looked hungry. So Django passed him the bread rolls. But again, Stampy didn't eat just one bread roll. He ate all the rolls on the dish. And then he ate all the cookies and all the cake. Until there was nothing left to eat on the table. So Django's mummy said, "Would you like a drink?" And Stampy drank all the milk in the milk jug and all the potions on the brewing stand. And then he looked around the kitchen to see what else he could find. He ate all the bacon that was cooking in the furnace, and all the fish in the fridge, and all the apples and carrots in the chest. And he drank all the milk, and all the apple juice, and all Grandfather Squiddy's beer, and all the water in the tap. Then he said,
"Thank you for my nice tea. I'd better go now."
and he went. Django's mummy said, "I don't know what to do. I've got nothing for Grandad Squiddy's supper. Stampy has eaten it all." And Django found that he couldn't have his bath because Stampy had drunk all the water in the tap. Just then, Grandfather Squiddy came home. So Django and his mummy told him what had happened, how Stampy had eaten all the food and drunk all the drinks. And Grandfather Squiddy said,
"I know what we'll do. I've got a very good idea. We'll put on our coats and go to the cafe."
So they went out in the dark, and all the spiders and creepers were out, and the zombies hungry for their supper, and the skeletons hanging about. So Django and Mummy and Grandfather Squiddy ran over the hill to the village, and they had a lovely supper with pork chops and chips and a big ice cube. In the morning, Django and his mummy went shopping, and they bought lots more things to eat. And they bought a very big cake, in case Stampy should come to tea again. Do you think he ever will?
Goodbye! Goodbye! Bye!
Goodbye now.
Yeah, and you guys had the exact same expressions on your faces that my students had when I showed them this. It's just the smiles, and you can't help but just love that video. And I said, "This is great, great." My kids, they loved it. And of course, they wanted to know, "Can we make one? Can we make one?" I said, I don't know the first thing. Can we make one? I don't know. Sure we can. I hope, I guess. And I was about ready to set foot and, all right, I'm going to dive in and figure out how to make a video, because to me it looks really complicated. There's some things in there that I don't know how to do in Minecraft, and I can't imagine bringing everybody together and doing the filming. And then Adam saves the day, because he comes up with a video, a follow-up video, behind the scenes of when Stampy came to tea. And he shows you in the video exactly how he did everything. And it's fascinating because it's a Hollywood movie set. It's just half-completed buildings or just a wall here or there. And he tells you how everything came down. He even had a little green room for his actors to be in. Stampy, as it ended up, I thought, well, gosh, they had to film it all in Minecraft like live. But no, they didn't. They just set it up to film, and then Stampy kind of sent his voice, his audio, so the audio is added on afterwards. And you delete the audio track, you're not worried about that. And it's just a screencast. And screencasting is, as most all of you probably know, it's relatively pretty straightforward. I just use QuickTime on my Mac and press record. and there you get the action, and it's in HD. And then it started to really ring true, and I thought, this is a great idea for a project, because kids love to make videos, especially if they know the videos are going on YouTube with the other Minecraft videos. So here's some things that I just popped into my head as I'm thinking about all the stuff my kids will learn and do learn by doing this. And most importantly, I think, for me, there's the obligatory Common Core slide. But notice I'm focusing on what I think, English language arts and math, and that's everybody's got those burned in. But for my kids are very shy, and my kids don't really believe in themselves as much as they should. They don't think they're creative. Their self-esteem is not anywhere near where it should be. And I really emphasize creating performers in my class. I want to emphasize that artistic side. So speaking and writing is really important. I teach down in King City, southern Monterey County, and so I really want to get my kids talking to me, talking to each other, and standing up and talking in front of the class. And so I'm always looking for ways to get my kids to perform. And so whenever the discussion always comes up to Common Core and addressing Common Core, I'm the guy that always pushes people to bring these in to get the kids to work together, because that's where I'm interested in. Now, just language arts, you want to tell a story, you could see, oh, that would be perfect for a book that we do in 2nd or 3rd grade. But I'm going to challenge you to think a little further than that. How about for math? This is story problems, right? For analyzing and breaking down story problems. Have your kids make a Minecraft video of the story problem. Minecraft EDU has number blocks, so they could do equations there. And they could show equations, they could show fractions, and as you saw from Shane's great work, they could show graphing. So you could have your kids, put them in charge of making math tutorials for your lessons, and story problems to fit with those. How about a Minecraft math chat? A week, bi-weekly, every month, kids talking about math in Minecraft and how math can be used in Minecraft, or how Minecraft uses concepts of math, and sharing those out and making a regular video podcast and publishing it for your school. Minecraft math chat. For science, teaching processes. We went over the previous one about step 1, step 2, step 3, the experimental process. You're designing an experiment, have them demonstrate that in Minecraft. A great whodunit, the zombie is killed, so how do we figure out who did it? Where are the clues to that? Investigations, mysteries explained of the common things, misunderstandings that kids have. They can have a weekly podcast about that. Is explain the unexplained, explain the principles of astronomy or some physics or any other thing that your kids are doing. And I really liked this last one for science. How about an in-world interview with a scientist? I'd venture to guess that a lot of scientists are kind of geeky, and they would probably get a kick out of being interviewed in Minecraft. So if they play Minecraft, or if they have a son or daughter that plays Minecraft, how about asking them to hop in a Minecraft server and you record the interview that way? You want to get your kids' attention, interview a scientist in Minecraft, and then your kids would build the sets that they're going to be in. Is it an observatory? Is it a science lab? Is it a university? Is it a classroom? You have the kids then build the sets for all of these ideas. For history, the story of. It could be a historical figure. You're telling their life story, or a famous battle that figure participated in or something. A fable or mythology. The gods, because you can fly in Minecraft. There's powers you have in Minecraft that you could demonstrate for those. Our community for the lower level kids, making your community, designing your community, the city, lay it out and walk through the community. History Detectives, a very popular show online, and your kids could solve some history puzzles. And this Day in the Life one, I'm going to adapt this one. I did a documentary project with students where they had to go out and film somebody in their life that they knew that was important to them and follow them and tell what a day in their life was like. They could certainly do that in Minecraft too, and then recreate that day in Minecraft. A question?
So with the idea of an interview with a scientist or whatever, would you pose a script, interview the scientist, like the problem, all of this sort of thing, and then create the world?
Yes.
Superimpose the, I don't know, the interview onto? Would they edit like the voice edit and then?
Correct, yeah. The question was how would that look? How would an interview with a scientist look? You set up the interview with the scientist and they would have to know kind of the questions ahead of time, but this is student-driven model, really. And so what do the kids want to know? And then you could either meet that scientist inside of Minecraft, and you're on the server too, your kids could be in the server as well, and you're playing the game, but then you're also interviewing him or her. It would have to be kind of like on the phone, or you could collect the audio afterwards. They could just send you an audio copy of their answers. That would be a better quality than just the computer. And this project idea would benefit from like a real microphone, so not just the computer microphone. If you had a standalone microphone, that's how Adam did his really deep voice.
Can you just do the chat?
You could, sure, yeah. You could have the text chat. And that would be a live thing and not necessarily filmed, but you could have a text chat with that person, and the kids could join in. Okay. And yeah, why Minecraft video? What the heck? This sounds like a lot of work, and who's going to watch this anyway? Everybody says the internet is just nothing but kittens. Well, if you look on YouTube and you do a search for kittens, there are 3 million kitten videos on YouTube. That's a lot. But do a search for Minecraft. Yeah. 101 million videos that are tagged Minecraft. And most of those are by the kids we teach. They're not the professional videos. They're by the kids we teach. They're sharing their work. They're dying to create tutorials and share what they know in Minecraft. And if we can tap into that in the classroom and connect them with some content, that's a win-win. So that's a model that I intend to really use a lot this year. But the kids create this stuff. Me, set up the scaffolding. Let's let them run with it. Okay, and the third model here is this is where teachers and students collaborate with other teachers and students in the process. And this is an example of a project that I'm undertaking right now, getting a team of us together and our students and have something that's going to be beneficial for everybody in a project. And it centers on Japanese poetry, which you might seem as odd, but 7th grade world history, we cover medieval Japan. And medieval Japan is known for an era, well, it was certainly violent in the samurai and shogun era, but there was also incredible art and music and drama and poetry comes out of this. And one of the examples of the poetry that comes out of medieval Japan is called tanka poetry. It's a kind of a precursor to haiku. And I thought, gosh, I want my kids to write poems because I want them to connect to that themselves, but to connect to the environment. They were kind of isolated there in King City. They don't have a lot of experience outside. And learn some Japanese and learn about Japanese culture too. So I contacted 2 experts that I know of just through my kind of the Google group and through Twitter, who are experts on Japan and in that area. And the first one here is James York, and he's a professor in Japan, and he teaches Japanese and English, so English to Japanese students and Japanese to English students. But he does it in a very creative way. He has a Minecraft server, Kotoba Miners, that anybody can join a class, and you learn Japanese inside of Minecraft. So if you're a second language teacher, this is very popular. You can put signs, you can put people you interact with in Minecraft, and his whole course is students going in and interacting in a Minecraft world that teaches them Japanese. And so he's got mostly kind of adult-ish type students that are learning either English or Japanese, and he's already got a Japanese world created. And Melvina here is my second contact, and she's also in Hawaii. She teaches 6th grade, and she has a class that is Japanese culture. And her kids are excited about Minecraft, too. And I thought, let's merge together. Surely there must be something that we can all get out of this. And this is, I'll explain what we're going to do. This was also inspired by an Adam Clark video. So here's an example of Tanka poetry. Why don't you read that to yourself rather than me? Tanka poetry is very seasonal, it's very personal, you're tying into nature, and I love all those things right there. And that's what I want my kids to be able to dive into something like that. So, how do you do that in Minecraft? This is one of the most important blocks that there is in Minecraft, yet it's not something that most people know about because you don't really get it. You have to kind of conjure it up. And it's called a command block. It's programming it, but when you use that block, you're able to send your server a command to do something. If, for example, if you type in that into the console, give @p137, you'll give the player that's nearest to that command block a command block, and they have one of their own. If you type in give @a50, then when somebody comes near enough to that command block, the player steps on something right next to that command block. They step on a pressure plate. Every player in the game gets a torch. You can designate whatever you want to give them. Or you can change the weather. You can say /weather thunder 10. Thunder will rain down for 10 seconds in the game. Play a sound. You can import sounds into Minecraft too. It's a little tricky, but a harp note if you'd like, or there's a bunch of other sounds that come with Minecraft. So a sound plays to a particular player as they walk past this. And these are usually not out in the open. They're buried, so nobody sees them. But things happen in the game as you walk past them, as you walk along a path. So another command is say. And this is what types into the game. It doesn't speak it, but you could get it to do that. But say, so it types into the game. @p, so at the player that just stepped there, rooted to the ground. She repels her attackers. Flowing, not moving. In storms, trees bear great burdens. Bending, not breaking. So you get the idea. As they're walking along a path, the poem is being read to them. But the poem is theirs. So they're going to design, my kids are going to write poems, and they're going to build out their poems in Minecraft. In most cases, you think of Minecraft as building buildings and things. I want them to build landscapes. I want them to build their poem. I want them to see that in Minecraft. So I want them to visualize a beautiful place. We're going to be studying about Japan. We're going to see lots of visuals about Japan and Japanese landscapes and architecture. And I want them to transform that in Minecraft. So we'll make their own pathways out through the woods or across a bridge and near the flowers or the animals, if they like, to put in it. Or over a bridge on a misty morning in the forest to a clear, reflective pool. And so as you walk down the path, the poem is being exposed to you and other sound effects or visuals that the kids would like to program into it. So the idea is that everybody will be making this. Here's the big picture, a lot of text here, but explains it in a little more detail. What I hope to get out of it is my kids are going to interact with Melvina's students who have Japanese culture. They're going to learn Japanese culture from her kids because they're going to produce, as we'll see, a world that my kids will visit. They're going to learn Japanese language. They're going to learn some Japanese words that they can put into their poems. I don't know if I can expect my kids to learn enough Japanese to write a poem, but I want them to learn some Japanese words that they can place into their poem. And they're going to write the poems. Malvina students are going to research and then create a seasonal Japanese festival. Her kids are in Hawaii. They don't have seasons. And so that's a big part of her unit, is to get her kids to understand what seasons are. So Japanese festival, and they're going to create that in Minecraft, and they're going to teach my kids about the culture. James is going to give us access to his server, and then his Japanese language students are going to translate my students' poems into Japanese, the full thing. And they're going to post their poems online on my kids' blogs. So my kids will, in their comments, will get a blog comment that has their poem from English translated into Japanese. And what I hope to achieve, or at least my kids, design and build the poetry pass, and move on to the video blogs, research the Japanese culture, Malvinas, write the poetry, and James is going to get to promote the community. So where do I find all these people? I find them on Twitter, usually. There's a great hashtag to follow, MinecraftEDU, where everybody's sharing all their work. And there's a Google group, Minecraft Teachers, that just rocks, that is so useful and helpful. And I'm really looking forward to getting all of us together, and maybe we could join together and create worlds that are beneficial for all of us. Let's stop thinking that we have to do it by ourselves, because we don't. Let's play together and create. Thank you.